Hi, my name is Jenna Collins. And this is my confession. Not the kind you whisper in a dark booth to a stranger hidden behind a screen. No, this is louder, raw, shameful, and necessary. This is the story of how a 2-day affair with my married boss cost me my job, my reputation, and nearly everything I thought I knew about myself. Girls, listen to me, sometimes 2 days of your life can haunt you for years. It started with a harmless crush. That's what I told myself anyway. I was 29, newly promoted to a senior marketing strategist at Halbier & Lowe, a mid-sized consultancy firm in Chicago. I worked hard, really hard. I stayed late. I prepped every presentation like it was the Super Bowl. So when Ethan Bishop, our vice president and the man I reported to, started taking notice, I didn't think much of it. Compliments about my work, an extra laugh at my dumb jokes, little glances that lasted longer than they should. Harmless. He was charming. In that polished, slightly tired, always put together way older executives get after years of managing chaos and winning. Married, of course. Everyone knew that. Married to Alina, tall, graceful, very PTA core, with 2 perfect kids in matching cardigans. I had seen them once in a company photo on the About Us page. So I let things slip. He'd compliment my ideas in meetings. He asked me to stay behind after everyone else left. Sometimes he'd walk with me to my car. Just making sure you're safe, he'd say with a warm smile. One night, that walk turned into a long conversation. That conversation turned into drinks at the bar across the street. And those drinks turned into a ride back to his hotel. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't passionate. It was impulsive and messy and exactly what it shouldn't have been. And it happened twice. The next morning, I looked at myself in the mirror and felt hollow. There was no giddy smile. No stamfel feel. Just this cold, sinking weight. We agreed to never talk about it again. We made a mistake, he said. Let's keep things professional. Clean slate. And I wanted to believe him. I did. But things didn't stay professional. Not really. The dynamic had shifted. At first, I thought I was imagining it, Ethan being more distant during meetings, not replying to emails as fast, skipping our one-on-ones. I figured it was guilt. Or his way of drawing a boundary. Fine. I could live with that. Then came the looks. One colleague in particular, Diana, our HR liaison, started looking at me strangely. Not cold, not mean, just watchful. Like she was putting something together. One Monday, she caught me alone in the break room and said, "You seem stressed lately. Everything okay with Ethan?" My stomach dropped. I played dumb, smiled and made a joke. But she didn't laugh. She just said, "You should be careful. People talk." From then on, I couldn't breathe at work. I felt eyes on me everywhere. Maybe they weren't there. Maybe it was paranoia. But even paranoia has its roots. Then one afternoon it all crashed. I walked into the office to find silence. Not the normal pre-coffee Monday silence, a tight, heavy silence. People stared at their screens, not making eye contact. Some wouldn't even look up. On my desk sat a sealed envelope. Inside, an HR notice. Effective immediately, my contract was terminated due to violation of internal conduct policy. I was escorted out. No hearing. No explanation. No discussion. Just like that, 5 years of work gone. Outside the glass doors, I stood on the sidewalk in heels and shame, blinking at the sunlight. I tried to call Ethan. No answer. I texted. Nothing. I emailed. No reply. That night, I opened my laptop and saw it. An email. Sent anonymously to our team. With screenshots. They were from my personal phone, texts between Ethan and me. Time-stamped. Explicit. Unmistakable. And the subject line? "Your empowered marketing leader, unclothed." It went viral. Inside the company. Then, thanks to some sick bastard forwarding it to a gossip blog, it started to leak outside. I stayed off social media for 2 days. When I came back, I had 83 messages. Some were cruel. Some were worse, pitying. And at the center of it all, me. Not Ethan. Not the man twice my age who initiated everything, who broke vows and made decisions. Just me. The woman. The joke. The slut who slept her way up. It was too much. I deactivated everything. I didn't leave my apartment for a week. And then something shifted. I found myself rereading those messages. The ones blaming me for ruining a family. The ones calling me desperate. and something in me snapped. Not in a loud, dramatic way. In a quiet, steel-hard way. I wasn't going to stay silent. Not anymore. I opened a new account under a pseudonym, nothing fancy. Just enough to speak. To share. It wasn't a tell-all. I didn't name names. I didn't show receipts. I didn't have to. I simply wrote, I made a mistake. I was involved with a married superior at my job. I was fired. He was not. I was shamed. He was protected. If you've ever watched a man's guilt become a woman's cross to carry, I see you. The post didn't explode. It wasn't trending. But slowly, quietly it spread. People, mostly women, started commenting. Same thing happened at my firm. They always find a way to blame the woman. Speak your truth. It was validating. Not redemptive, nothing could undo what I did, but grounding. Someone even messaged me asking if the man in question had initials EB. I never confirmed. But somehow, somewhere, the dots connected. A week later, someone found Ethan's public LinkedIn profile. They began commenting. Not hate. Not slander. Just questions. Did you terminate an employee over a consensual affair you participated in? Interesting leadership ethics. Should we be worried about your hiring practices? And for the first time, he was exposed, not to tabloids, not to national news, just in his curated, glossy, self-managed corner of the internet. His employer saw. His board saw. His clients saw. I didn't do it. I didn't direct it. I didn't want revenge. I wanted accountability. The comments didn't last long. His profile was made private in under 48 hours. But the damage, even a whisper of it, was enough. He stepped down a month later. Me. I wasn't celebrated. I wasn't hailed as brave. No news articles. No podcast interviews. But something inside me settled. And then came the silence. The social buzz faded. The messages stopped. And reality set in. I needed a job. I applied to 15 positions that first week. Then 20. Then 30. Marketing manager. Brand strategist. Copy-led. At first I got polite rejections. Then nothing. A friend in recruiting let it slip. Your name pops up with some baggage. Companies are hesitant. I was radioactive. Even though the post had been anonymous. Even though I never named him. Even though I never sued, never went public, never shouted. So they knew. And they were scared. For 6 months, I sat in my small apartment watching my savings drain, wondering if my career was over. Some nights I'd stare at the ceiling and whisper, was it worth it? There's no clean answer to that. Eventually, an old colleague from a different company reached out, someone who had left our firm before the drama. She was building a small content team for a local nonprofit. Low pay, limited hours, but meaningful work. I said yes before she finished the offer. It wasn't glamorous, but it was something. That first day back at work, I cried in the bathroom during lunch break. Not because I was sad, because I was grateful, because I still had something to give. Dating, though. That was another story. After everything, I didn't trust myself. Every message on a dating app felt like a trap. Every compliment felt like bait. I ghosted good guys. I froze in conversation. For a long time I thought I was broken. Eventually I met someone, a barista named Liam, who made dumb latte art and never asked about my job. We went on slow walks. Watched movies. He never pushed. I didn't tell him about my past for 3 months. When I did, I expected him to leave. He didn't. He said, you lived. You learned. That's what grown-ups do. I'm still learning to believe him. As for Ethan, I don't know where he is. I don't check. I don't want to know. And I'm not writing this for him. I'm writing it for me. For any woman who thinks one mistake means she deserves to disappear. You don't. Yes, I messed up. I hurt people. But I owned it. I paid for it. And I moved forward. Not famous. Not fearless. Just honest. And that's enough. The nonprofit job gave me just enough stability to breathe. It wasn't high-paying, but it came with peace, and I hadn't had peace in over a year. There was something beautiful about working on campaigns that had nothing to do with profits or shareholders or quarterly goals. Just people. Just needs. It felt human. Maybe that's what I needed most. To remember I was human again. I kept my head down, wrote clean copy, hit my deadlines. No office drama, no secrets. My coworkers were kind if distant. I didn't push. I didn't share. The truth was still too heavy. Occasionally, I'd hear Ethan's name in passing, someone referencing his old firm or another exec he'd worked with. I'd feel that old tightness in my chest, the quiet fear that my past would crash into my present. But it never did. And after a while, the fear dulled. I started reading again, fiction mostly. Women who burned down empires, who survived impossible odds. I saw pieces of myself in them, though I never quite felt as strong. They were heroes. I was just surviving. One morning, about 7 months after I'd started the new job, my manager pulled me aside after a team meeting. "Hey," she said gently, "I just wanted to tell you. I've noticed your work. You've been doing a great job. I know we don't say that enough." It was small, but I almost cried. Validation hits different when you've been invisible. That night, I sat on my fire escape with a cheap glass of wine, watching the lights blink across the skyline, and for the first time in what felt like years, I thought, maybe I'm okay. Not perfect. Not whole. But okay. My social life was still a little fractured. Most of my old friends had pulled away, not maliciously, just uncomfortably, like they didn't know what to say or how to navigate the gray zone I now existed in. I didn't blame them, but it was lonely, so I started small. Coffee with coworkers, book club with strangers, even the occasional awkward dinner date, though most didn't go anywhere. Liam, the barista, stayed. He didn't try to fix me, didn't ask for details, just listened, just showed up. He brought me soup when I was sick, remembered how I liked my eggs, let me cry when the world felt too loud. One night he asked, "Do you still feel like that woman in the story?" I didn't need to ask which story. I thought for a moment. Some days, I admitted, but less and less. He nodded. "You're more than what happened. You know that, right?" I wanted to believe him. Some days I did. Others, I needed reminders. But that's healing. It's not linear. It's a mess. One afternoon in late spring, I got an email from a big brand I'd applied to a year ago, one of the companies that never responded. They wanted to talk. The hiring manager had seen some of my recent nonprofit work and was impressed. Would I be open to a chat? I stared at the screen for 5 minutes before replying. It felt unreal. The interview was short, professional. No mention of the past. Just my skills. My ideas. My writing. A week later, they offered me a contract position. Short-term but better pay. Higher profile. I said yes. Starting that job felt like stepping onto a bridge I wasn't sure would hold. I was terrified it would all come crashing down again. But it didn't. People were kind. The work was challenging but fair. I had boundaries. I had a voice. I had value. I even started mentoring a younger copywriter. She reminded me of myself, eager, smart, unsure. I told her what no one told me: speak up. Protect your time. Don't confuse opportunity with obligation. I didn't tell her everything, but maybe one day I will. Because my story isn't unique. It's just real, messy, complicated, human. And I'm still writing it. The new role grew into something steadier. 3 months in, my contract was extended. I wasn't naive, I knew corporate jobs could turn overnight. But for once, I let myself enjoy it. I still got the occasional awkward glance from industry people who remembered the story. Some had pieced things together, some had only heard whispers. But no one said anything outright. People move on. Scandals fade. Memory blurs. The headlines that once felt tattooed on my skin had slowly turned to scars I could live with. What never fully faded were the messages. Every few weeks, a new one would land in my inbox. Sometimes it was an old coworker who had no idea what really happened. Sometimes a woman asking how I got through it. Sometimes just silence, an anonymous DM with no message, just a name I recognized. I never replied in anger. I replied with truth. No, I didn't blackmail him. No, I wasn't a homewrecker. Yes, I knew he was married, but he never gave me the full picture. Yes, I made mistakes. No, I wasn't the only one. I wasn't trying to play the victim. I was just trying to speak. One message, though, stood out. It was from someone I didn't recognize, a junior analyst from Ethan's department. She wrote, "I was there. I saw how they treated you after. They were cruel. And I never said anything. I'm sorry." It took me a long time to decide what to say back. Eventually I wrote, "Thank you. That means more than you know. We all go quiet when we're scared. I did too once. But I'm done being quiet." There was power in that. Not revenge. Just clarity. Ethan and his wife had quietly moved to Colorado, I'd heard. He wasn't at the company anymore. Something about personal decisions and new opportunities. His LinkedIn was still up, though the titles had changed. A few of my old colleagues had left too. No big scandals. No headlines. Just slow, quiet erosion. Justice hadn't come with fanfare. But it had come. Me. I was rebuilding. Not perfectly. Not glamorously. But steadily. I took a long break from dating. I needed to. I had to trust myself again before I could trust anyone else. I went to therapy. I relearned what consent meant. What agency meant. What it meant to want something without shame. It wasn't about hating Ethan. It was about choosing myself. One evening, I walked past a downtown cafe and saw a girl at a table with her laptop open, typing furiously, headphones in, eyes blazing with focus. Something about her made me pause. She reminded me of me. Though, before all of it, I almost kept walking. But then I turned, walked back, and bought an extra coffee. As I set it on her table, I said, "You don't know me and I don't know your story. But whatever it is you're working on, keep going. Your voice matters more than you think." She looked up, stunned. Thank you." I smiled. "Just trust me. One day someone will try to silence it. Don't let them." And I left. I didn't need a stage. I didn't need applause. I just needed to know that the worst thing that happened to me didn't get to define me. Not forever. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough.